What's up, everybody? Beau-hindman back. I'm going to do a quick video review. I'm not going to do an unboxing, of course, because obviously it's unboxed, but I'm kind of going to do a quick review of my custom painted Sabotage, which is a figure, an action figure from a line of independent toys from Panda Mony Toys. I'll link everything in the description if you want to check them out. They're inexpensive, fantastic toy line made by a small company, I believe, that is has just really started out. And when I first heard about the line, I was excited, and then I started to realize that what they were trying to do was make like a kind of a riff on 80s toys with action features and stuff like that. And I was all in. I did a review, maybe I'll link it up here, wherever you call it, of the frog. I think his name's Dart. A review of that toy, an unboxing and review of that one. It's a fantastic toy. He's actually larger than this guy, so his scale, he's a big frog dude. Fantastic toy. But one of my quibbles or minor complaints was that with a lot of indie toys, you get a paint job that is not as as amazing as it could be, considering how wonderful the details on the toy are. Those more custom or more detailed paint jobs cost a lot of money to make and bring the cost way up. So sometimes you're going to get these toys that aren't painted as nice as you'd like. It's not a fault of the developer, really, unless they wanted to charge $100 per toy, when then it just becomes kind of more of a collectible and less of a toy. Still a good paint job, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to take this one in particular. This is Sabotage, who is, from what I understand, is I think he's a good guy. But it shows you here in his little mini comic, and yes, you get a little mini comic. Look at this, it's fantastic, with each toy. It's very much a retro kind of style of a toy. This has become one of my favorite lines easily, just because I didn't realize at first what they were doing, and now that I do, I'm like, oh, I get it. I see what they're doing here. So there's Dart. I've reviewed him. This is the one I'm painting, or I'm showing now. You can see his colors there are a blue and a purple. Good colors, great paint job, but I wanted to do something more. And then this is phase 2. I really want to get that Alpha and Bomber and all these. I want to get all the rest of them too and do some custom paint jobs on those, just because it's so fun. It's such a good line. But as you can see from the character, he's got a lot of details in his body armor. He's got this giant right or left arm, I should say. It even comes with instructions so that you need to, so that you can, you basically pull it back and it hits. So one of the things they like to do is old school kind of action, features on their toys. And it also has a sound unit. I'll get to that in a moment because I broke it. But I'm just here at my painting desk real quick. What I wanted to do was just bring out a lot of the details. I've always been in love with this kind of gunmetal look. I've been trying to perfect it over time. I like to make it messy, like he's been in mud, being hit with bullets occasionally, stuff like that. So there's a lot of randomness to it. You get a lot of really fantastic areas like his shoulder here and places like that. And then you get some more rough areas like his kneecaps and stuff. So I'm not 100% satisfied with it. I wanted to leave his helmet the original colors, but I gave it a bit of a wash. I tried to get rid of this seam line on top, which wasn't too bad, especially just not for the toy. But if you're painting, you know how seam lines can be a real hassle. I wanted to get rid of that seam line. That was pretty easy to do. Eventually, I just sanded it down. But and so I wanted to make it look. I wanted it to be where if you looked at the figure, you could see all of the wonderful details that the sculptor and designers put into this toy, and I think I achieved that. One of the issues you have whenever you're dealing with custom toys like this, or when you're dealing with a kind of a toy that contains, hard plastic and also rubbery plastic like this. Like this belt. It can be hard to paint a lot of those rubbery plastics. I've still got to fix this belt buckle here, but I've been letting it dry for a day or two just to make sure. I want to make it more like this reddish area. So it was a bit of a challenge. This arm had all these veins. I was like, am I going to detail each vein, or so I basically just did a dry brush and washes. I love doing dry brushes and washes because they're so easy to do. You can do them on almost any toy or whatever, and at minimum it brings out details. I just painted this black. I think I missed a couple spots, and then dry brushed a little silver on top of it, gunmetal type stuff. And that's all I was really trying to achieve, is to pull out some of the details of the toy. Right here, this button, and I'll talk about this heartbreak here, is a sound button. If you press that, his eyes would glow red, and he makes this fantastic, very loud, I should point out, very loud radiations kind of alarm sound. It's a cool sound. It's a really nice little sound effect. The problem was, as I pulled it out of there, I busted the wire from one of the connections. I was lucky enough to talk to somebody from the company, and they said, yeah, you could probably just solder that back. I don't have any soldering tool. I should get one. I really should, especially as I get more into this. But I was able to kind of temporarily fix it, I thought, and then I broke another part of it that's not fixable really. So I went ahead and took it out and left it out, and I replaced his eyes with just some green foil stickers just to kind of give a reflection there, which I think looked fine. But the sound and the light in this guy are fantastic. If you look up more reviews of the line, you'll see that their little sound design and stuff is really, really fun. So I just did I just painted general areas. I left his glove the original color, his helmet, dry brushed, washed, and I did several layers, and I might even do a couple more. This area here, for example, was like a radiation symbol colors, like striped of yellow, and you can see on his arm here, yellow and black. And I wanted to paint that because it was such a cool texture area to give it kind of a musculature look. So I just did a quick paint on that and wash. Again, I could add a little more detail to that. I mean, look at the details in the hand. That hand is amazing. How it's each little part has been carved and sculpted by the artist and designed, and yet you're really not picking up on that when you just kind of glance at it in its naked, quote-unquote, toy form. So I wanted to take this, just do a quick dry brush, wash, and whatever, just so you could see those details a bit more. You can see where the wash will miss in places, so I can fix that pretty easy just a quick wash. One thing that I have learned, because I learned something with every one of these toys, because I'm not a professional painter, I'm just kind of learning as I go along. I don't sit there and read guides and stuff really, is that you really have to let this stuff dry a lot between coats and between touching, because I got parts where it fell and it pulled off the paint. As you can see, I missed a spot there. You know, you miss spots and you'll get little mistakes, but I like the mistakes. So that's not a big deal. If you're somebody who's a perfectionist, you know, I don't know what to tell you. It can take you 6 months to finish one piece. That's not what I'm into this for. I'm into this so I can kind of get something done in relatively short time so that I can go on to another project. You know, I know people who take 6 months literally to do one toy and stuff, one model, and that's fine. It's just, you know, it's going to take you a while. One of the other issues is it has these nice seam lines where the body is split in half so that I could take the two halves apart. And the issue with that is I could have fixed these seam lines pretty easily. They're that heavy plastic that I could have used a good heavy glue and fixed it like a seam line on a Gundam model or a plastic model. But I decided to go ahead and leave them open because, first of all, it looks like armor, maybe where he'd remove his helmet. It's not a big deal. I still do want to fix the one on the strap here though. But if I was to seal that and I'm able to fix the sound unit eventually one day, again, I should probably just call it quits because I want to move on to another project. But if I wanted to finish it, I can pull that back apart by unscrewing everything. I didn't try to hide the screw holes. I want it to look like a well-painted or a cool, like if you bought this toy, you'd be like, oh, that's a cool paint job, you know, that kind of a thing. I'm not trying to make it look like a realistic robot guy, you know, if that makes sense. I'm not doing it for that reason. But anyway, that's just a quick overview of my Sabotage. It's from Panda Mony Toys. I want you to go to their site. I will link it in the description there. I want you to buy one of their toys because it is an independent line, I believe, and they need support. I'm going to touch this up a little bit more probably over the week. I did get his legs a little loose, so I'm going to take him back apart maybe. If I can get this belt off easier. I kind of glued it in place, but it would come off relatively easy. And see what I did there? I maybe didn't mount the legs back, but he's really, really posable. I'm not showing that off too much because as you pose a custom paint job on a toy, you tend to pull off paint. So I'm going to kind of put him in a cool pose and leave him that way. Amazing toy though, really, really cool. Go look him up. It's a great company. And that's just a little overview of my Sabotage from Panda Mony Toys. Go check them out. Have a good one, everybody. Bye-bye.